This lesson is inspired by a powerful chapter from Neville Goddard's work, Prayer, the Art of Believing. Drawing from scripture, mysticism, and the universal laws of energy, Goddard redefines prayer not as a ritual or recitation, but as a spiritual technology. In this chapter, he invites us to understand prayer through the lens of consciousness, imagination, and what he calls the law of reversibility. If we truly grasp the energetic mechanics of faith, desire, and assumption, we can unlock the creative power within us to shape reality. Prayer, according to Neville Goddard, is not a performance, it is an art. And like any art, it must be practiced, refined, and understood. The first requirement of this sacred art is a controlled imagination, not the endless repetition of words, not empty ceremony or spiritual posturing, but the quiet, disciplined act of imagining as if what you desire is already so. He warns against vain repetitions and the outward displays we often associate with prayer. True prayer, he teaches, happens in secret. It is internal. It happens in silence, in stillness, in intimacy with the divine presence within. Thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Too often, people believe their rituals or outward forms are what move the heavens. But Neville strips this illusion away. The real essence of prayer is not in the form, but in the feeling. And that feeling, in order to be powerful, must be saturated with faith, and not blind faith, but faith infused with understanding. This is where Goddard introduces one of his most revelatory concepts, the law of reversibility. In the physical world, forces are reversible. If heat can produce mechanical motion, then motion can create heat. If speech can produce vibrations that become electric currents, then those currents can reproduce speech. This foundational scientific truth holds a mirror to prayer. If the fulfillment of a desire would evoke a feeling, then cultivating that feeling now must, in turn, evoke the fulfillment. In other words, prayer is the deliberate induction of a state of being. To pray effectively, you must first enter the state of having. Imagine how you would feel if your prayer were already answered. Rest in that feeling. Let it shape your mood, your thoughts, your inner conversations. You are not begging. You are becoming. Faith, then, is not hoping something will happen. It is assuming it already has. This is why Scripture says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The unseen becomes seen through the fidelity to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. As you continue in this feeling, reality must eventually conform to it, because consciousness is the only creative power. This changes everything. It means you no longer need to wait for proof before you believe. Belief is the proof. You no longer look to circumstances to determine what's true. You decide what is true, and circumstances rearrange themselves to reflect it. Neville closes this chapter with a beautiful synthesis of scripture and universal law. What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. The art of prayer is not about asking, it's about claiming. It is about feeling now what you would feel then, and remaining loyal to that inner reality until it externalizes. This is the sacred science of creation. This is the true prayer.